Hello. Is that what? Boy, my room looks like a mess. This tangle of wires. I never really noticed it till I saw it through the webcam. Well, I promise I don't live in squalor. It's just with VR, the wires get a little crazy. It's good to see you. It's been a long time. I won't really get into what's been going on. It's pretty boring. If you have specific questions about what I've been up to, I'll answer them. But generally, the reason I haven't been doing dev streams is busy or doing stuff I can't show on dev streams. So today I'm going to jump back into working on the butterflies. And just before I started this stream, I was adding a new property to world items. It's a property I've kind of resisted adding for a long time because it's kind of a pain to edit these really stable classes. But let me see here. In the item of interest interface, in order to give butterflies and other treasure-seeking creatures a spot to focus on, if you'll recall in the last dev stream where I showed them focusing on flowers, if there wasn't actually a flower on the plant or whatever, it would just go straight to the base of the flower and sort of hang around almost underground. It was ridiculous. So in addition to the position of a world item, you can now have the focus position, and each object type that implements the item of interest interface has to implement focus position. In the case of world items, I added an optional focus position transform, which I can specify here. If there isn't one specified, I just return the regular transform position. But if there is, I return the focus position transform position. So what I've done is I've updated the street lights so that the focus position is here. So if a butterfly wants to fly around it, it's going to fly around the part that makes sense. It's not going to fly around the base, which is what I was doing before. So that's street lamp type 1. And let me just double check that I've done street lamp type 2 here. No, that is type 2. Yeah, so I set that one too. Okay, so that's good to go. Now let me get back to, okay, treasure seeking critter. In the last dev stream, I was working on creating a function in the world item groups class that lets me search for all child items by type in a location, as opposed to just the sort of general purpose search for all child items by type in all groups, whether it's a location or not. And I finally got that working. It was pretty close the last time I left it off. There was this one loop I was missing, and I forgot to exit the function if we'd found as many child items as we wanted. So yeah, I searched for all the children of the types specified up here. Currency, Illuminite, Hidden, Artifact, Artifact Shard, Destructible Wall, Secret. I search for it in the base group, the one I start with, and then I go through each of the child groups, and if it's a location group, which is the other property that we added last time, or if it's a structure group and we've either specified to search interiors, that's a new feature that I added, or we're not an interior group, then we check to see if the distance from the child group to the search origin is within the search radius. If it is, we call get all children by type and location on that group. And then as soon as we have as many as we asked for, we break. So that's where we're starting today. I'll load up good old, what is it, save game 9, I think. And we can watch the butterflies doing their thing. And then we can figure out what to do from there. At some point I got to create a way to save and load these butterflies at runtime, because the thing about these treasure-seeking critters is that they're going to become companions. If you name a butterfly, or if you're provided with one at startup, then it won't despawn like other critters, and I'm going to have to somehow tell the player properties that, okay, yes, you have a companion butterfly, and so when you start up the game, you're going to have to spawn one. I don't need to save like its position or anything like that, because they're so volatile that it doesn't really matter whether it's the same one. I can just spawn another one that will continue to do the same thing, but I need to save that information somewhere, and I haven't even begun to decide where. And thinking in the player properties, like maybe I'll create a player script called companions or something that's responsible for keeping track of this stuff. Okay, so let's go. We've got some butterflies spawning. Oh look, one's already found. Make this a little bigger. One has already found the light, so this is obviously working. This fella's current valuable is street lamp 1-1-0, 1-0, and oh, that other one found it as well. Of course, the slow as molasses in the scene view because we're still loading and it's just slow when I get the hierarchy in view. But yeah, you can see the critters flying around. The ones with red haven't found anything yet, but slowly but surely they're all figuring out that that's the thing they want to be by. Again, we're spawning exclusively treasure-seeking critters right now. Normally it would be a whole mix, but okay. So far so good. They're all just kind of hanging out. I guess I haven't. Well, let's see what I've got them doing. In the flower example, I had a whole sort of air traffic control system where one would wait until the other had alighted or had jumped off, and then it would alight, and they would sort of take turns. But flowers have properties that world items don't. World items don't keep track of whether something's attached to them. So, okay, find valuables over time, fly towards valuable. They don't look like they're flying towards the valuable to me. So let's see what has to be true to be flying toward the valuable. If we're resting on the valuable. Okay, if we're not friendly and the player is startling us, then we skip town. But that's not happening because these guys still have their valuables. They're not flying away. If we're resting on our valuable, then chill until we're not resting anymore. Otherwise, fly towards the valuable. Okay. So we get the force direction. Maybe it's an issue of not having enough force. This all looks pretty good to me. We get the force direction from the position of the valuable thing, the lamp. And then we sort of modulate our Y position. We smooth out our velocity, that's fine. And we move our rotation. Okay. All right, I'm going to look at our base class. To see if we're not missing something. Okay, forget about the critter base class. Let's look at flower seeking critter and see if we might have fly towards flower. Okay, it's the waiting for flower that we eliminated. We're just beelining for it. Oh, I see the problem. No, never mind, I don't. I mean, they're kind of flying toward it. But not really. No, they're really not. Vanguardus. Is it front end or what? I don't understand the question. It's Frontiers. All right, well, I'm going to make this real simple. I'm going to... I'm just going to tell it to run straight toward the valuable. I'm setting this, right? I am, yes. Setting both of those. Right, so we add force in the force direction. Okay. So we'll load again. These butterflies should just go straight there. And then we'll start adding back in the more complex behavior and see where things might be going wrong. If they don't move straight there, then something's definitely gone wrong. I'm a newbie in dev, so I don't understand which language it is and what you're doing. Sorry. No, it's fine. So yeah, real quick overview. This is an open world RPG I kickstarted quite some time ago. It's called Frontiers. I'm working in the Unity engine 4.7.1 in C#. And that's absolutely everything you need to know. No, just kidding. If you have more questions, feel free to ask. I hope everyone has been enjoying the recent excellent game releases. I actually took some time and played a few video games for the first time in a long time. In the time that it takes to compile and load this scene again, I should probably be able to tell you all about both. Yes, I played Dark Souls 3, which is out of character, actually. I don't play those kinds of games, meaning games with extreme difficulty curves. I tend to lean more toward story-driven, narrative-driven games in general. And if I go with something that isn't story-driven, I tend to lean towards action without punishing difficulty. But for some reason, I don't know. You'd think it would have been Bloodborne that finally caught my attention, not Dark Souls 3, because I'm a huge Call of Cthulhu fan. But yeah, Dark Souls 3, something about it just looked compelling. So I got heavy into that. I really liked it quite a bit. And it was difficult, my goodness. I've never ever played a game where I was stuck in essentially the opening stage for, I think, 2 hours. With that first boss, just learning, because I never played a Dark Souls game. I had no idea what to do. Just learning how to dodge and parry and all that madness. Okay, here we go. We're spawning some butterflies. Okay, now we're talking. Look at those guys going right for it. You know, thanks to their colliders, they have pretty beefy colliders for their size. Thanks to their colliders, they're actually remaining sort of a reasonable distance away from the light, and they would, of course, remain a reasonable distance away from currency or whatever other valuables they're seeking. I think all I'm going to do is add a little bit of random movement to this and call it good. I don't think I need to I don't need to deal with this resting on business in this case. It makes perfect sense of the flower, but I think I'm just overcomplicating it here. Okay, so we can get rid of resting on. And where is landing distance used? Yeah, that's fine. We don't need flytorts valuable at all. Okay, so we'll add just a touch of randomness, normalize it, and then update the movement. So hopefully it'll undulate a little bit more. I might revisit this later and you know, make it do circles around it or something more interesting, but for now I think it should be fine. I mean, it's definitely evident that it's attracted to whatever it's finding. There's no mistaking that. So you're doing this project only by yourself? At this point, yeah. I had a team earlier. Back in the golden days, when I had lots of cash to pay people. Uh-oh. Let's get rid of these debugs too. And of course, I'm still working with Ryan Spann, whom I've teamed up with in the long term on other projects as well. So he's still helping. But yeah, all the assets are done, and all of that has been finished and paid for by other people. And now I'm just sort of tying up all the loose ends on my own. Why do I care about max wait time? I don't need that. Forget you. Okay, we don't need to do this anymore either. We have focus position. Yeah, and the other game that I played recently, 2 games in short succession. This never happens. I have to wait months and months before I can find time to play a game, but in this case I squeezed 2 in there. Doom. Good stuff. Good stuff. And really fascinating, honestly, because I haven't played the whole thing, but as I've been playing it, I keep thinking to myself, the feel of this strongly reminds me of the feel of playing the original Doom, despite the fact that, you know, point by point, like gameplay element by gameplay element, they diverge radically. They really do. Even more so than Doom 3, I would argue. And yet, it's so tightly designed that somehow they've recaptured the original feeling with all these new elements. It's really fascinating. And it kind of makes me think of my ideal film remake. You know, it's this film remake that doesn't exist and will never exist, where someone takes a very good movie from the distant past, you know, like the 50s or something, where you can completely appreciate it on an artistic level and as a film buff, but contemporary audiences, they just don't have like a visceral reaction to it anymore because the conventions are so different. And someone takes that original material and says, okay, well, I completely understand what feelings they were going for at the time. Here's how you would accomplish that same visceral reaction today with modern elements, and remakes it, and everyone feels exactly the same way about the new one as they did about the old one. That can probably never happen because there are just too many variables, but I gotta say I never expected it to get so close to happening in a video game. I just thought that kind of thing wasn't really possible. Because whenever somebody does all the old school remakes that I've seen, where they've gone back and revisited an old genre or something, they tend not to feel much at all like the original. In fact, the closer they get, the more striking the differences between the experience of playing it originally and playing it now get as well. Looks pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna move away. I'm gonna stop my impromptu discussion about Doom and remakes and focus on the butterflies. All right, now those fellas should despawn pretty soon. And new ones should pop about, and they should immediately, yep. They're going straight for the lights. Now we're gonna try the ultimate test. I'm gonna put a lantern on the ground. And we'll see if they fly toward it as well. Toward? Maybe somebody can correct me. It's okay what I'm asking? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Oh, look, they did. All right. So, again, in the previous dev streams, one of the problems was that we were never getting to the correct group to search for things that we placed on the ground like this, because we were searching a whole bunch of groups that were actually irrelevant. So that's what this function was designed to enable, was to search for things that I was placing on the ground in the above ground group. Now I wonder if they will follow me. No, they still seem pretty... Oh, that is one thing I do need to add. If... Okay. When we acquire our valuable, we set its current valuable position, and then when we update our movement, we have to check that's right? Why is IntelliSense not helping me out? If it is moved, that's a sign that the current variable should not be pursued any longer. Need to find a new one. Okay. All right, now when I do that, it'll take them a second to sort of, gather their wits, but afterward, they should be able to pursue anything I'm carrying. Okay, now that might not be true now that I'm thinking about it. Because that's why. Not everything that I'm carrying is in an above ground group. It could be in the player group, depending on whether I'm using a doppelganger. If it's a light source, it will be in the actual world in the right position. But it'll still be in the player group. Okay, in groups, you can actually see the hierarchy right here. If you zoom in, I don't know how clear it is. You've got your root, right? That's where everything is stored, absolutely everything. Hold on a second. Okay, it's just compiling that. You got your root, then you got your world, right? Underneath the world is where I spawn all of the chunks and the chunk groups. And each chunk has an above ground group. That's what I'm searching for, items for these butterflies to look for. And it has a below ground group and so on and so forth. And we just burrow into those and search. The player group, which is where I store items that are in my inventory that I can't flatten, into like flattening. Have I explained flattening? Some objects can be saved, like basically dumped into an XML file, and they don't have to exist in the world until I pull them out of my inventory and then I instantiate them. Some items have to constantly be updating themselves. For instance, you might have a magical item that you don't, like it's not in this game, but you might have a magical item sitting in your pocket that uses itself up over time, or it's supposed to do something special like explode when it gets used up. In that case, I would mark the flag don't unload when I put it in my inventory. It would exist in the player group, and it would just continue to do its thing. And the act of pulling it in and out of my inventory is literally moving it to my position and then moving it off to sort of a space far away where it can't interact with anything. Then when I'm holding something, like a lantern in my hand, I don't put it in the world group. I keep it in the player group. I just move it around in the world position. So if I want to also have these critters search for things that the player is holding, I need to do a second search. And I think what I'll do it in 2 steps. We'll just do the same thing twice. If I don't find anything in the world, which should be that should be the priority, to find things in the world, because if you're holding it, you know, who cares? If you don't find anything in the world, we're going to search. We're going to get all children by type in the player group, and we don't even look. We don't need to look for locations because everything's just in the root of that group. And we'll use the same search radius. And if an item isn't actually like in their hand, if it's just a doppelganger is like a visual duplicate of an item. I won't get into that right now, but if it's just a doppelganger, the actual item will still be far away. So this should work fine. Okay. That's all I should have to do, is duplicate that. Do you need to be good at physics and math to code that? I only heard that game development is full of hard math. Nah, not really. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I tell you, the walls that I hit the hardest have to do with math. I can get along okay thanks to Google. Oh, hold on, I'm doing this wrong. That should do it. I can get along thanks to Google and thanks to the help of, more knowledgeable friends. But occasionally I will run into problems where I think, man, I wish I'd paid closer attention in a trigonometry class or whatever. Physics, I hardly have to think about it at all. The very few times I've coded, custom physics solutions, they're always super simple. I kind of consider that a solved problem in general in games. You really don't have to think about it too much. You just have to think about, not breaking the system with jittery behavior. But I tell you what, if you get into engine programming or graphics programming, that's when the math gets insane. Yeah, the stuff I'm doing, I'm just doing scripting. You know what I mean? I don't really have to do that much arithmetic even. There's some vector math, but again, I'm not doing anything complicated. But man, when you get into rendering stuff, I briefly toyed the idea of making one of those, what are they called? Rasterization engines? I forget the term right now, but basically like a Doom engine, just for fun. And I looked into it for about 2 hours and decided, nope. This is way outside of my area of expertise. I am not qualified. Felt Up Circus is going well too. That's the next dev stream that I'll do. I'm working on the new act and the modding system in general. It's coming together really well. But the last time you saw it, I don't think I even had the acts loading fully in-game. So it's come quite a ways since you've seen it. Oh, and you haven't seen my workshop box, which is fun. Yeah, the way that you get new acts is you subscribe to them in Steam Workshop. And the subscriptions show up for you in a little box in your house as framed photos of the items. And if you want to install it, you hang it on the wall. So there's like an easy visual distinction between, you know, the stuff that you've subscribed to but don't have installed, and the ones that you can actually play. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I really like the system. I wish I had more time to experiment with sort of physical interfaces like that. It's a lot of fun. Okay, butterflies. Come get it. Where are you? What's going on? Did I break something? Oh no, what's this? No! I broke something. Oh, pfft. That was dumb. Alright, I didn't check if this was null before checking whether the position was equal to the stored position, so that's that. It's a good thing I have stuff to tell you during these compilation intervals. So yeah, the next act of Feltup Circus, it's a whack-a-mole, only it's gummy bears that you're whacking, and you're whacking them with a meat tenderizer, and it's fun. It's fun. I'm using a subsurface scattering, a cheap subsurface scattering shader for the gummy bears, and they look pretty scrumptious. They don't quite look like gummy bears because gummy bears are actually, they're not just translucent, they're actually transparent, just with a very, very blurry, like lots of blurred refraction, right? So they don't quite look like gummy bears, but they do look like a kind of candy. I can't put my finger on it. I know I've eaten it before because I can sort of remember like putting it in my mouth and chewing. Maybe it's like a candy from the 90s or something. And whatever it was probably disgusting. Sort of waxy, very, very brightly colored, and, you know, translucent so you can see light through it, but not refractive. Blasters, juice blasters, something like that. They look kind of like, I'll think of it. I'll go to like a Retro Crush or something and find out what it means. What's up, man? Not much. Good to see you. Just getting these butterflies working. Gummy blasts? I feel like it's something where they would come in a package where you would you tear it open and it was sort of metallic and you pour it in your hand, and then gushers. Could that be it? I don't know why I'm asking you guys. Like you're probably all too young to remember this crap. How much time are you coding in general? About 10 years? Like coding seriously is fewer than that. Man, maybe about 10 years. My God. 2016. And I started programming. I mean, there was a sort of a hiatus in the middle, but I started programming around 2004. Jesus, 10 years. More than 10 years. That's frightening. I don't think of it as that long ago when I started messing with C# for the first time and was blown away. Okay, buddy. Are we still screwing up here? Something still wrong? No? Oh no! Oh, come on. I'm an idiot. I set the current valuable position, the one I'm checking to see if the thing is moved, to the focus position, obviously. Then when I'm checking to see if it's moved, I'm checking the position, which is going to be different for some world items. Not all, though. We can still test this with a lantern. Come on, find that. Yeah, look at you go! Look at you go. All right, so that would screw up the street light because the focus position and the position are different. But with the lantern, they're digging it. Okay. Now. Boy, I am having trouble picking it up because the butterflies are in the way. I did not anticipate this problem. Their colliders are interfering with. Boy, that's unintended consequences, guys. Okay, I picked it up. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, they're already looking for a new thing, but of course they're constantly setting it to null because they think it's a different thing. What they're not doing is looking for. I'm not looking for my lantern in my hand. And I think they should be. I believe that this object. Let's go to groups, player. Look at all these objects we got. Yeah, see, edibles. Edibles are one thing that I don't despawn because I haven't implemented this yet. But over time, they're supposed to degrade and get gross. See where my lantern is being put. Okay, I'm keeping it in my tool offset. That makes sense. But what group am I using? Help me out here. Player. I'm in the player group. It's not parented under the player group right now because I'm holding it in a tool and it's parented under the player object. But it is in this group. So if I'm searching in that group, how come I'm not finding it? Ultralimit type. You know what? This is overkill. I'm searching. Okay, that function is overkill. This may not be the cause of the problem that we're looking at, but in any case, I have direct access to the player group. So I can just ask it directly for the children of the type of the types that I've specified, and then I don't have to do that whole recursive thing where I'm, getting all the paths of all the recursive groups and blah blah blah. I don't have to do any of that. And there's not going to be more than like 50 odd children in the player group anyway, so that should be quick. Okay. I'll just put a little bug log in here. Okay. There's so much to keep track of in the project, I feel for you, man. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It was Gushers, I think. I remember some sort of metallic aluminum plastic package. Yes, and they were hexagonal. That's exactly right. So um, let me link you guys to an image, or I guess I'll just show you the image here on stream. So this is what the gummy bears look like with the subsurface scattering and no refraction. And if I made these like hexagonal, like you're saying, I feel like they would look like these Gusher things. That's what's sort of in my mind, this texture and feeling and the sort of waxiness. Anyway, even though those things I'm sure were disgusting, I have kind of fond memories of them. So when I play this game, I just think, these look tasty. Okay, while that compiles, I'm going to take a quick break. Perfect timing. Oh, Unity. All right, quick break. I'm going to refill my water glass, and I will be right back.